Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Talking is easy. Everybody can talk. But the question is, how do you make sure that your words count? Or how do you effectively communicate with others? Do you often ask yourself questions like why is no one listening to me? Or why is no one helping me? Or why am I not able to convince anyone? Do you often feel unsatisfied, unfulfilled, and frustrated? On an average, a person speaks about 16,000 words a day. How many of those words make a difference? How many of those words get through to others? Everywhere we go, everywhere we look, someone is trying to get our attention. Everyone has something to say to us, be it at work, be it at home, be it through social media, or be it through any other means. How does someone choose which messages to listen to and which messages to ignore? And this is the very reason why this video is going to help you to become an effective communicator. Some of the payoffs of becoming an effective communicator are improved professional image, improved self-confidence, improved relationships, and greater respect and recognition by others. Effective communication is intentional, it's strategic, and goal-oriented. And communication is not only about what someone says, but it is also about what someone does or is observed doing. Let us now try to understand how human brain works when it comes to processing communication. Before the speaker starts to speak or even opens his mouth, the audience is already making judgments. Judgments about whether to pay attention to the speaker or not, judgments about his ability, and questioning his credibility as a speaker. When the speaker begins, the audience's attention is driven by the visual cues provided by the speaker. Does he sound confident? Is he at ease? Is he scared? Does he sound mean? These visual cues are non-verbal but very powerful. In fact, they are so powerful that they determine the audience's reaction irrespective of what the speaker might say. When people are under stress, they find it extremely difficult to concentrate, to listen, to hear, or to understand. For example, when doctors talk to their patients about their medical conditions, most patients typically remember only about 50% of what they have been told. When people are threatened, they find it difficult to focus on anything beyond the threat. Human beings are wired to connect to each other. We first feel and then we think. Effective communicators connect with their audiences not merely intellectually but also emotionally and physically. The way you speak affects the way someone listens, and the way someone listens affects the way you speak. Effective communication always involves a feedback loop. Before learning to improve our communication skills, it is important that we first understand the barriers to communication. First example, a politician addresses a large gathering. He speaks entirely in monotone and his voice is completely devoid of any passion or conviction. Another example, a public speaker speaks down to the audience. It is clear that he feels or thinks that he is superior to the audience. He makes them feel small, sending one clear message that I know something that you don't. Both of these speakers lost the audience. Let us now have a look at some of the barriers in detail. The first one is distraction. Distraction is one of the primary factors that lead to disconnect between the audience and the speaker. Distraction can happen in the form of people looking away, or working on their smartphones, thinking about something else, or not paying attention during the communication. In this case, you need to ensure that the selected environment minimizes the scope of distraction to ensure effective engagement of the audience. The next barrier is assumptions. Do you make assumptions about people based on their profession, race, age, beliefs, nationality, or any other factors? Whenever you do that, you stop paying attention to the people, and you miss important cues that would otherwise help you in getting connected. At the same time, lack of understanding of culture, background, or beliefs might also act as a barrier, because then you cannot personalize your message according to your audience's preference. In this case, you need to develop an understanding of audience's preferences while carefully staying away from assuming what is irrelevant. The next barrier is arrogance. Arrogant people are rarely able to connect to others because they don't make the efforts. They believe that they are on the higher ground compared to others, and they do not want to lower themselves for others. In fact, they want others to make efforts to come to them. Arrogance leads to creating barriers between the audience and speakers. To connect effectively with people, you need to ensure that you treat them equally and consider them as equal partners in communication. The next barrier is indifference. Indifferent people do not care about what other people want or feel. Indifference is actually a form of selfishness. People who are indifferent are focused on themselves instead of extending themselves and reaching out to others. To connect effectively with people, you must first establish emotional connection and empathy with them. Emotional connection is subconscious in nature and is well established before intellectual connection takes place. The next barrier is lack of clarity of speech. A lot of people believe that if they use big words, jargons, and complicated sentences, the other people would portray them as someone who is intelligent and credible. However, this is not so. Irrespective of whether your message is simple or complex, if you are not able to communicate the same in simplest of words with clarity, you will not be able to connect with your audience. Usage of complicated words and jargons, unclear sentences, and unstructured messages can only lead to confusion. As Albert Einstein said, if you cannot explain it simply, you do not understand it enough. If you want your message to be understood in full, you need to ensure that it is simple, it is clear, and it is understandable. The next barrier is language. What happens when you try to communicate with people in a language that is not understood by them in full? Your communication skills, however effective they may be, your body language, however positive it may be, fails to communicate the message to the people. Therefore, you must always address people in a language that they are comfortable with or are able to understand properly, unless of course you are trying to teach them a different language. The next barrier is negative non-verbal cues. The visual hints given by your body that contribute to disconnect or disengagement of the audience include avoiding eye contact, speaking while looking down at notes or randomly anywhere, hiding your hands or moving them randomly without any alignment with the content, exaggerated gestures, and speaking in monotone voice without any facial expressions. Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, advised that to engage an audience, a speaker must master three things. The first one is logos, that is the reasoning, the logical argument, empirical evidence, rational explanation, and facts. The second one is ethos, that is the personal character, identity, personal attributes, the guiding beliefs of a person, group, or an organization. And the third one is pathos, that is the emotion, the passion, the quality that makes people to connect emotionally and to feel empathy. If you want to succeed in connecting with others, you need to make sure that your communication goes beyond words. How do you do that? By connecting at 4 different levels. The first one is connecting visually. The second one is connecting emotionally. The third one is connecting intellectually. And the fourth one is connecting verbally. Let us now see what this means. But before discussing these in detail, let me tell you about the most important aspect that impacts your communication, and that is your intention. Intention is so important because your body subconsciously reflects your intention, and it also primes the positive usage of words. If your intentions are quite opposite to what you would like to communicate, then there are very good chances that you might display a conflict between your words and your body language, which the audience might pick up immediately. Therefore, the right intention is absolutely necessary for you to establish connection with your audience at all 4 levels, that is, visually, emotionally, intellectually, and verbally. You have got just 7 seconds to make the right first impression. That's it. As soon as you make the entrance, people start to judge you on the basis of your non-verbal cues. And do you remember, people start to judge you even before you start to speak? Mirror neurons are powerful connection mechanisms. For example, if you establish eye contact with someone and smile at the same time, it is almost instant that the other person would subconsciously smile back at you. Non-verbal communication can bypass the conscious mind and trigger subconscious responses. Various aspects of connecting visually include your body language, your facial expressions, eye contact, smile, an open posture, no distractions in the surroundings, and match and mirror. The next level is connecting emotionally and trying to understand what other people feel. Remember how indifferent people do not care about what other people feel or want? In order to effectively communicate with others, you must first establish emotional connection and empathy. Let us now have a look at the various aspects of connecting emotionally. The first one is search for similarities. We all know that common ground brings us together. Finding shared experiences or preferences help us connect with people. The next one is use cues. To connect emotionally with people, we must learn how to pick up on signals that the other people send. Signals like their beliefs, their interests in a particular conversation or topic, any source of distraction, any sense of urgency, or any other similar cues. The next one is have no assumptions or biasing when communicating with others. The next level is connecting intellectually or trying to learn what people understand. As already discussed in lack of clarity, usage of complicated words and jargons, unclear sentences, and unstructured messages can lead to confusion and disengagement. If you want your messages to be understood in full and remembered, you must ensure that your message is simple, clear, and understandable. Various aspects for connecting intellectually include clarity of thoughts, which has been discussed earlier. The next one is the primacy effect, which is the tendency to recall or remember information presented at the start of a message. The next aspect is the recency effect, which is the tendency to remember and recall the message which has been presented most recently. The next aspect is make your message easy to remember, and you can do this by repeating your key points again and again. And the last aspect in connecting intellectually includes following the rule of threes, which means that you have to present your message or the main points of your message in groups of 3. The last level is connecting verbally, and you can connect verbally with your audience by keeping your message simple, improving your language skills, being more expressive, improving your tone, and improving your voice modality. Let us now discuss briefly about one very important aspect that improves our communication skills, and that is listening. Most people listen at an efficiency rate of less than 25%. Listening is not merely hearing through our ears. Active listening involves responding to the other person in such a way that it improves our mutual understanding and overcomes any communication barriers. Active listening involves looking in the other person's eye and acknowledging what the other person is saying, by asking questions, by paraphrasing, and by confirming and clarifying what the other person has said. Great communicators continually rely on trying new things, noticing the response, taking cues, and adjusting according to feedback. If you have watched the entire video, you must be confident to improve as a communicator. Please remember, if you want to achieve great results, you must practice more and more by experimenting and adjusting as and when required. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and before we conclude, I have a small task for you. Evaluate yourself on which barrier is stopping you from becoming an effective communicator, and please comment below. Please do subscribe for more videos on professional development. Thank you.